Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly Buntings. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Iimak. I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our presentation on industrial labeling. Today, I'm joined by Julie Pickett, who is Iimak's UK sales manager, and Julie will shortly take over the microphone. We do have quite a few people on the line today, so just a few practical points before we get started. First, everyone has been muted, so you won't be able to ask questions verbally, but we do encourage you to type your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. We plan to spend about 20 minutes on the presentation and will be addressing all of the questions at the end of the session. Also, we are recording this presentation and will be posting on the Iimak website in the next few days. You will be able to return to watch it yourself or share it with your colleagues. We'll send an email to you when it is available. If the full screen presentation is not shown on your computer, you can maximize it by clicking in the bottom left corner of your screen. For today's presentation, we will cover the details of target applications, as well as related requirements. We'll discuss solutions available from Iimak that are a fit for industrial applications. Then we'll take it one step further and provide guidance on where to find opportunities, as well as some useful tools to help you in long-term business. We use the title Grow Your Sales, as we believe that using the tools mentioned today will help you to do so. In recent years, resin for premium and industrial applications has been our fastest growing product segment. Business in this segment is easier to retain because of the higher specifications customers typically impose. And the higher value sales will provide increased profits to your company. So this presentation is geared towards helping to identify and win new business with TTR label end users. If you do not directly sell to end users, we hope you will find the presentation useful as a coaching tool for your distribution network. Julie will now talk about common industrial label applications.
Thanks, Kelly, and good morning, everyone. We're glad you could join us. The term industrial covers a wide range of applications, from household items like washing machines, cordless tools, and lawnmowers. There are also automotive components like an alternator fluid or fuel pump, as well as capital equipment like air conditioners that you can find on the top of rooftops and most corporate buildings. The companies manufacturing these types of products use labeling for agency compliance information, rating, or product nameplates. In each case, the label must last for the life of the product. And because the label must last for years, most opportunities are over-engineered and involve several levels of testing. So the typical sales cycle lasts months. You may have to speak with several groups or departments. These could include engineering or quality assurance, each with a specific set of requirements. The benefit of investing your time and energy is that once a solution is specified, it's the official solution for as long as that product is made. In most cases, they will only consider an alternative if there is a problem. These applications are a great fit for TTR because TTR allows manufacturers to print variable information such as electrical ratings, serial numbers, and barcodes. And at the same time, TTR provides the required durability for exposure to demanding environments, and it's cost effective. A single printer can serve the needs of multiple product lines simply by changing the ribbon and label type for a particular product. Let's discuss typical label types for durable and industrial applications. The type of substrate and the durability requirements determine the label solution. Another element is the TTR ribbon, and we'll of course cover this later. Durable polyester labels are the most common substrate for industrial applications. They can be top-coated or corona treated for enhanced TTR printing. Durability requirements include industrial chemicals like oil, fuels and brake fluids. Scratch or mechanical resistance are very common requirements as manufacturers want to be sure the labels can handle day-to-day abrasion. It's also important to understand what printer your customer plans to use in terms of specifying a ribbon configuration. Next, I will cover agency and compliance requirements. Agency approvals are often a requirement for industrial applications. They provide validation that the label has met a minimum level of durability testing. For UL or underwriter's laboratory, testing includes some abrasion tests and UV exposure. Ultimately, having a label solution approved by UL confirms that the label will remain intact on the product during regular use and that the materials are safe to use. For UL, testing is coordinated and performed through media suppliers. There are several pre-approved solutions which are readily available, and the benefit of selecting a pre-approved solution is that it saves time and money, as there's no need to pay for testing or wait for results. Typically, with agency recognition, and specifically with UL, the solution is defined as a combination of the face stock, adhesive, liner, and the TTR ribbon. I mention this because we're often asked if a particular ribbon is UL approved, but a ribbon cannot be UL approved by itself, only as part of a solution. Iimak durable resins, SP330 and SP575, are UL and CUL approved. For those unfamiliar with CUL, this combines the requirements of UL testing and incorporates the additional testing from the Canadian Standards Association. And we can mention a few other certifications. ROHS, or the Restriction of Hazardous Substances Directive, regulates the use of dangerous heavy metals and has become widely accepted standards. The REACH directive comes from the European Chemicals Agency, who regularly updates a list of substances of very high concern. I'm sure you're familiar with these. Some resin end users may even demand food safety compliance like ISAGA or FDA. And halogen-free is a common requirement, notably in Asia. We're happy to inform you that Iimak's resin ribbons are all fully certified and compliant with these and other standards. Okay, so that's us now halfway through our presentation. Just a few more comments on UL recognition. Pre-approved solutions can be found through the label stock suppliers website or on ul.com's online certifications directory. Sometimes the UL website can be challenging, so if you're unsure, feel free to contact our customer service team and we'll help you to guide you through the process. You'll find Iimak SP330 and SP575 recognised in UL certifications, as well as Iimak wax resins in some cases. GHS is another consideration when specifying durable TTR printed labels, and it's useful to be able to speak about this with your customers. So what is GHS? Well, it stands for Global Harmonised System of Classification and Labelling of Chemicals. It's a government regulation to communicate hazard information, as well as protective measures on labels. Under the GHS standard, new labels must include several components so they are universally recognised. These include the product identifier, which is the commercial name and chemical name of the product and should match the name on the safety data sheet. A signal word is an alert to the severity of the hazard, for example, danger or warning. Pictograms are intended to quickly convey specific hazard information visually. The hazard and precautionary statement describes the nature of the hazard and provides measures to prevent adverse effects. A first aid statement provides emergency care information. Supplier information includes name, address, the telephone number of the manufacturer or supplier. For shipments overseas, the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Act requires a BS 5609 certification. This British standard requires resistance to salt water, UV exposure, and temperature cycling and abrasion tests. This certification is similar to UL in that the ribbon and label must be approved as a combination. Iimak resin ribbons have undergone third-party certification tests and are approved with specified base materials to meet the most demanding chemical drum label applications. GHS requires printed information in black and red ink, and Iimak offers approved products in both colours as well as many other colours. Now Kelly will talk about how to select the right product to fit the application.
SP330 has been a solid performer for a number of years and still the solution for most industrial applications. The listing of UL approved receivers with SP330 is long. It prints on all synthetic receivers with exceptional clarity and darkness, and is good enough to withstand common chemicals such as isopropyl alcohol and common cleaners. SP330 has been and remains a reliable industry leader in the durable resin segment. Our SP575 provides many of the same attributes as SP330, but incorporates higher levels of chemical durability. It's great for industrial applications where resistance to harsh solvents like petrol or gasoline and brake fluid are needed. SP575 performs best on top-coated polyesters and prints at a normal energy range. SP575 is not designed to resist the harshest solvents like MEK and toluene, but will demonstrate resistance to xylene. We always recommend testing to make sure you provide the right solution per application. SP575 prints with exceptional fine line quality. It's perfect for small label formats, including 2D barcodes, which are common in automotive applications where the available space for labels is shrinking. In fact, the current 2D barcode standard of 5 mm is expected to shrink down to 3 mm by 2017. So using SP575 positions you well for current applications, as well as future reduced label formats. So, now that you are armed with a perfect 1-2 combination for serving industrial applications, I will now show you where to find the sales opportunities. I'm going to talk a little about some tools you can use to identify prospects in the industrial applications that use high-end labels along with premium ribbons, which both offer you higher profitability, as well as good retention. Let me start by telling you about this pump we found on one of our engineers' desk at Iimak. It's a pump of one of our slitting machines. We started counting labels. There were 9 labels in total on this 35 centimeter long pump. 3 had barcodes and 2 had variable printing. They also used high quality colored or chrome finish labels. Another thing about this pump is that it has a motor, which was made by a different company. This example demonstrates the potential in industrial applications. There's not only opportunity for ribbons and labels, but there could be further value add that a converter or reseller could deliver, like label consolidation to help a manufacturer reduce complexity in their label stock levels and simplify their manufacturing process. TTR resin label applications can be found in a wide array of industries and product groups. A few are mentioned here, like telecoms, domotics, computer parts, and there are many others. As I mentioned earlier, the presentation will be available online, so you'll find this list later if you are interested. I'm sure then that when you give it some thought, you'd come up with quite a few others. Okay, so how do we find these companies now? Well, here's one way. You can consult Europages.com. They list over 2.5 million companies that participate in the industrial space. Let's stick with our pump example. There are 375 companies in a search for hydraulic pumps over 25 countries. But this includes manufacturers and distributors. We only want manufacturers. This brings it down to 172 companies. It's still a lot for one company or person to prospect. Now you could go two ways. You could narrow the search by country, say within one country, for example, Italy. It brings it down to 44 companies, a more manageable number for prospecting. Another option is to refine your search by category. For example, hydraulic pumps, pumps in general, or piston pumps. You can do the same thing for appliances, high volt air conditioning, outdoor equipment, compressors, batteries, generators, or any of the product groups mentioned on the previous slide. It's really a great and free tool. Another online database that provides more detailed information is Compositecom. This database contains 4.6 million businesses and 10.4 million contacts over the world. It allows you to search by company or activity and drill into to see the available contacts. Searching for company names through this database is free of charge. However, if you want more information about a particular company, you can purchase that company profile information. If you want to do a marketing campaign to hundreds of prospects, you can invest in purchasing company contact lists. For example, a search on manufacturers of pumps and compressors brought up 251 companies. The price for receiving the contact information for those companies was €144 or 120 pounds. There are business directories all over Europe of varying quality. I'm sure you're familiar with one in your own country. Here are some examples. And most Yellow Pages equivalents have a good web service and can be used for business-to-business searches. Time is always an important investment in growing business. We all know that the probability of winning new sales is higher when you reach out to 20 prospects when compared to just 2. Bear in mind that the decision maker at a prospect may work in one of several departments, including manufacturing, quality, procurement, or R&D. So it's important to ask the right questions to ensure you have the right audience. Let's have a look at some sales tools designed to support your efforts. Iimak's Resin Distributor Guide can give you some additional ideas to help you find and convert prospects. It has a substrate cross-reference and listing for chemical resistance, along with UL and other info we've talked about today. You can ask your Iimak account manager if you'd like to receive a hard copy. It's also online at Inside Iimak. Just search for it in the ribbon researcher. And if you don't yet have your password to access the Inside Iimak exclusive web space, please let us know and we'll set it up for you. So I'll leave it to you, Julie, to close out now.
Yes, thanks, Kelly. So in closing, we want to remind you of some things that are available to support and accelerate the sales cycle. Ribbon testing is often required for these premium applications. We have nearly 100 printers in our labs and technicians to create professional reports with print samples you can take to your customers to show them how the product performs. Phone support is also available, and sometimes customers call us when they're at their end user to help with printer adjustments and troubleshooting. Of course, free samples of SP330 and SP575 are available to you. So to summarise, the qualifying questions for industrial or any premium resin application are similar to those of other types of applications. You need to know the printer make, the model and the label size. As we've mentioned, Askip Engineering has developed a label specification which would provide detailed information about the requirements. You do need to dig a little deeper to understand what durability needs. Will the label come into contact with chemicals? Which ones? Is it submerged? Is the finished product installed outdoors? Does the product generate heat? It's also important to check if there are regulatory requirements like UL or ROHS. There are many criteria that will determine what a ribbon and label combination should be used in a given industrial application. However, there are a few basic rules. SP330 works in the majority of applications. It has excellent durability and resistance to common chemicals like motor oil, lubricants, most cleaners, isopropyl alcohol, and degreasers. It prints well on all synthetic label stocks. Our other premium ribbon is SP575, which offers the best durability on polyester, where it can provide resistance to harsher chemicals like petrol, gasoline, and brake fluid.
Well, that concludes our presentation on industrial labeling solutions. Thanks for joining us today. We already have a few questions from some of you. As a reminder, you can enter them in the Q&A or chat box to the side.
Okay, well, we do have a few questions come through, so just please bear with me while I read through them. Okay, so one customer's asked how our resin compares to Armour AXR7 Plus. Well, it's definitely a fair question, and I would definitely say very well. You know, our product has its advantages, we believe, over competitive products like solvent resistance. We also have a fine line printing and blackness. So I'd really kind of recommend you to try the product yourself on applications, or take advantages of, you know, sending your label stock in and we can do some print tests for you. Okay, another question, why would you choose a resin instead of a wax resin? Well, again, wax resins, you know, can be adequate for some applications, but typically they don't really provide the durability and the sort of the chemical resistance and scratch resistance that's needed for industrial applications. So you're definitely better off going with a resin. Let's have another look here. Okay, what's the maximum heat resistance? Well, both SP330 and SP575 resist up to 300 degrees centigrade on Kapton. And in fact, we've found that on occasions on the printed label, the image actually resists the heat better. You know, actually the image resists the heat better than the label. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, does SP330 print on paper? Well, as a general rule, no. Like other resins, it's really designed for synthetic labels. But to be honest, we have I've seen cases where it has printed on a coated paper. So, you know, if you do have an application like this where somebody does want to print onto a paper, you know, please feel free to send the label stock in to us and we'll test it for you. You know, just to see whether the substrate, you know, the print adheres to the substrate. Another question, what are the main industries Iimak sells to today? Well, we don't really supply direct to end users, but I do kind of know myself just through helping tests, you know, with other customers. So applications that I've come across are things like steel production, automotive, and pharmaceuticals are a popular one, you know, for things like where, you know, they've got to sterilize equipment. So, yeah, I think that's probably all the questions that we've got today. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, everybody, and it's been really good to see we've had over 27 countries that have joined us today. So thank you for joining us, and have a good day.